there. I'm Dick Thompson. I had the good fortune to drive at Le Mans. It was quite a thrill for me. Part of this was due to the fact that it was the first time a Corvette had been entered. That's what I drove, and that's what I'm still driving. Right after Sebring, in April, I was talking with Briggs Cunningham, and he suggested we take a Corvette over to Le Mans for practice day to see what it would do. Well, within that same week, we shipped the car over by air, checked it out on the track, and came back home. We found out what we wanted to know. It was feasible to enter the car. We figured it would have a good chance to make a good showing. As it turned out, we were right. The 3 Cunningham team Corvettes came over as part of Cunningham's personal baggage, 20 tons of it. The cars were then driven from Le Havre to Le Mans. Cunningham also entered a new experimental E-type Jaguar. The Camerata USA team entered a 4th Corvette, as well as 3 birdcage Maseratis. Fortunately, all the Corvettes arrived with very little damage. If you'd seen those stevedores at work, you wouldn't have taken any bets. Our foreign cars received a lot of attention from the French people. I guess they hadn't seen any Corvettes to speak of. And let me tell you, driving through some of those narrow streets was just about as hairy as a track at Le Mans. Good practice, though. At Papa Dion's garage in Le Mans, our mechanics worked over the cars, adjusted them, made last-minute changes. Brakes were adjusted and readjusted. With a heavy car like this, they're mighty important. Even the heads got spruced up between practice runs. As you know, good mechanics can just about make you or break you, especially in a 24-hour race. Actually, Le Mans is tougher on the cars than it is on drivers. Most Europeans didn't consider the Corvettes to be serious contenders. After all, this was the car's first entry, and they felt the heavy weight was a decided disadvantage. The one thing they didn't count on was the power. A couple of days before the race, the teams take practice runs on the track. On race day, there'll be over 200,000 people in those stands. Some Porsches are awaiting their turn. That's a fast back-end MG, built especially for the race. Did real fine, too. That's Zora Duntov of Chevrolet, Lee Lilly of the Camerati team, and John Fitch. Fitch has probably driven more European races than any other American driver. The cars pull right out on the course here as compared to the United States practice of going up to the end of the pit lane before you come out. Each pit has its own man with a flag to bring them out on the track. The walls around the course are made up of wicker, backed up with about 10 feet of earth for crowd protection. Makes it kind of rugged if you foul up. My co-driver, Fred Windridge, lost a wheel in practice doing 150 down the straightaway. The car skidded a little, but he got it stopped okay. His story afterwards was that he saw a wheel in his mirror and said, "Uh-oh, some poor sucker lost a wheel." 2 seconds later, he found it was his. Our Corvettes are pretty well squared away by now. When I went over in April, we had a 3.7 rear axle ratio and got 6,200 RPM down the straight. Now, just before race time, we had it down to a 3.3 rear and still got 6,200. That picked up about 15 miles an hour on the straightaway for us. Pre-race inspection of the cars lasts almost a complete day at Le Mans. The officials make certain each car meets all rules and regulations. They look over the majority of the car's parts to see that no special equipment is being used. And they can be pretty hard to persuade, let me tell you. If they can't find an engine number on a part, they insist it should have a number, even if that part never had one in the first place. It's a trying time for the interpreters. It's hard to make the officials understand. The cars are weighed because Le Mans has a prize for the efficiency of a car. In other words, displacement versus weight. Naturally, the Corvette was the heaviest car entered, about 3,000 pounds. We had the biggest engine, too, 4.6 liters. We had a practice lap around the 8.3-mile course, 4:28, without pushing too hard. Our Corvettes were true production cars, with additions like roll bars, adjustable steering columns, non-reflecting instrument lights, etc. It was the only true production car in a race. The others are built specifically for Le Mans, or thinly disguised racing cars.